But afterwards there occurred violent earthquakes and floods. And in a single day and night of misfortune, all your warlike men in a body sank into the earth, and the island of Atlantis, in like manner, disappeared in the depths of the sea.
Wow. That sentence is chilling. It sounds like the ocean itself swallowed a whole civilization overnight.
And with that dramatic image, welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. Today's episode about ancient mysteries.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily. Already feeling goosebumps, because Atlantis still has this powerful air of mystery around it.
I'm Alec, slightly more skeptical. But I admit the legend of Atlantis is one of life's great mysteries.
The idea that an advanced island city just vanished in one night, it's wild and strangely beautiful emotionally.
Historically, the story comes from Plato, but whether Atlantis existed is still a mystery to many people.
Some people think it might have been based on a real place that suffered a terrible disaster.
Others say it could have been purely symbolic, like a warning about arrogance and collapsing powerful empires.
For me, part of the attraction is that the evidence is incomplete, almost shrouded in mystery on purpose.
Before we dive deeper, quick reminder. If you enjoy learning English like this, please like and subscribe.
And share this episode with a friend who also loves weird legends. Your support really helps the channel grow.
Okay, let's ask the big question. Why are people so obsessed with ancient mysteries in the first place?
I think they touch something emotional. We feel small, curious, and secretly hope the world still hides secrets.
Modern life is full of cameras, satellites, and databases. The ancient world feels like a giant, half-open book.
Exactly. When something is shrouded in mystery, our imagination runs wild, filling the gaps with dramatic possibilities.
Atlantis might have been a real trading city that suffered earthquakes, or it might have never existed physically.
It might have been inspired by memories of natural disasters. People could have exaggerated details across generations.
It could have been Plato's artistic invention too. He might have created a city to explain philosophical ideas.
For many believers, the idea that it's just a story is hard to swallow. Almost disappointing, honestly.
But even if it was fictional, the legend itself clearly has an air of mystery that still inspires people.
Listener, how about you? Do you secretly want Atlantis to have existed? Or do you prefer a symbolic story?
Later you can comment, for me, Atlantis was probably, and then choose something like real, symbolic, or exaggerated legend.
Let's use some helpful language. When we say something might have happened, we mean we're guessing about the past.
For example, Atlantis might have been based on a real island. Means we aren't sure, but it's possible.
If we say, it must have been invented, we're saying we feel very confident it was probably fictional.
And when we say, it can't have disappeared exactly like that, we mean the description sounds impossible scientifically.
These little phrases are perfect for ancient mysteries, because so much is uncertain, and we're always speculating carefully.
Another fun idea. Many ancient sites, like pyramids and stone circles, are a mystery to tourists who visit them.
People stand there thinking, how did they move these stones? Or, who planned this design? It's fascinating, honestly.
For archaeologists, some questions are solved. Others are still one of life's great mysteries, needing more evidence.
I like that balance. We know some things confidently, but other parts are still misty, floating between fact and legend.
Let's talk feelings for a moment. How do you feel when you watch a documentary about some unexplained ancient site?
I feel this mix of excitement and frustration. Excited because of the mystery. Frustrated because nobody truly knows.
For me, part of the fun is actually not knowing. Total certainty might kill the atmosphere of mystery completely.
Yeah, sometimes explanations feel a bit boring. Oh, it was just practical engineering. Even if that's probably correct.
Listeners, do you prefer magical explanations or rational ones? Be honest. Your heart and your brain might disagree sometimes.
You could write, emotionally, I prefer, but logically, I think it might have been, and describe your inner conflict.
Another interesting thing is why people love alternative history, like aliens must have built everything impressive, for example.
That theory sounds very fanciful to me, but I understand the emotional attraction. It makes the universe feel busier.
And humans sometimes underestimate their ancestors. We think, they couldn't have done this, when they probably could have actually.
Exactly. Our ancestors might have been more organized, creative, and skilled than we imagine, even without modern technology.
So when something seems impossible, we say, they can't have built this alone, but that might underestimate human capability.
Listener question. Is there an ancient site that feels almost impossible to you? Something your brain struggles to accept?
Maybe the Great Pyramid, the Moai of Easter Island, or temples carved into cliffs. Choose your personal jaw-drop moment.
Later, write, for me, the most mysterious site is, and tell us why it feels impossible or magical.
Let's return briefly to Atlantis. Historically, Plato wrote about a powerful island that sank after angering the gods.
That could have been inspired by real disasters, like volcanic eruptions or tsunamis hitting coastal cities brutally.
In that case, people might have remembered fragments and turned them into a grand, dramatic legend over centuries.
So, we might say, Atlantis could have been a memory of several disasters combined into one huge story.
Or, the story might have been created to warn people about arrogance and the danger of unstoppable ambition.
Either way, it still has an air of mystery. It refuses to become just another simple historical footnote.
That's the thing about ancient mysteries. They sit between history and myth, inviting us to explore possibilities in between.
I think they also comfort us. If the past still hides secrets, maybe the future holds surprising things too.
Listener, do you have any ancient mystery from your own culture that foreign visitors might not know about yet?
Maybe a lost kingdom, a haunted temple, a mysterious lake, or a mountain legend shrouded in mystery for centuries.
We'd love you to share in the comments. That way, our community slowly collects mysteries from around the world.
Remember to use some of today's language. Maybe has an air of mystery, or is still a mystery.
For example, this castle in my country is still a mystery to historians. Nobody knows who built it.
Or, this ancient story has an air of mystery, and older people still tell it by candlelight.
All right, we've set the mood. Atlantis sinking, legends growing, and our love for things shrouded in mystery.
Next, we'll step into more concrete places. Pyramids, Stonehenge, and the Nazca Lines written across desert landscapes.
And we'll invite an archaeologist friend to help us guess what might have happened and what probably didn't.
Stay with us, because the stones, lines, and monuments of our planet might surprise you even more.
So Emily, let's walk away from Atlantis for a minute and step onto solid, mysterious, ancient ground.
Yes, let's talk about real places you can actually visit, even if their true purposes are still unclear.
Around the world, we've got pyramids, stone circles, and strange pictures carved into landscapes visible only from above.
For many tourists, these sites are a complete mystery. They stand there thinking, how on earth? Why?
To help us separate plausible ideas from wildly fanciful ones, we've invited our friend Dr. Harris today.
Dr. Harris, welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. We're very happy to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me. Ancient monuments are my favorite subject, mostly because they still keep surprising us.
Let's start with Stonehenge. For many listeners, that ring of huge stones is still a total mystery.
When I first saw photos, it felt otherworldly, like it had an air of mystery around everything.
Stonehenge is partly understood, but not completely. We know different phases were built thousands of years ago.
Some people imagine druids in white robes performing ceremonies under the stars. Others imagine aliens landing mysteriously there.
The alien idea sounds fun, but pretty far-fetched to me, like a movie plot, not serious history.
Exactly. Aliens are a popular, fanciful explanation, but there's absolutely no credible evidence supporting that theory.
So what do serious archaeologists think? What might Stonehenge have been used for, realistically speaking, based on evidence?
It might have been a ceremonial site, maybe connected to burials, processions, and observations of the sun's movements.
I love that. A place where people might have watched the sunrise during important days, feeling spiritual and awed.
The alignment with solstices is strongly suggestive. It could have helped communities mark seasons for farming and festivals.
So, when people say nobody knows anything, that's not really true. Some parts are still shrouded in mystery, though.
Listener, notice that phrase, shrouded in mystery. It means covered, hidden, like wrapped in a fog of unknowns.
For example, the exact rituals performed at Stonehenge are still shrouded in mystery, even if we understand its general purpose.
Dr. Harris, what's one detail about Stonehenge that normal visitors might not realize when they first see it?
Many don't realize some stones came from very far away, which suggests complex organization and cooperation across regions.
So our ancestors must have had impressive planning skills, We can't assume they were simple or clueless villagers.
That's one of my favorite points. Ancient people could have been much more sophisticated than we often imagine.
Definitely. Saying they couldn't have done this without aliens is both implausible and a bit insulting, frankly.
Listener question. Do you think humans alone could have built places like Stonehenge and the pyramids, or not?
Later you can comment, for me, the human-only explanation is mostly, and choose plausible, implausible, or somewhere between.
Speaking of pyramids, let's jump to those huge triangular mountains of stone in Egypt and other cultures worldwide.
People always say, how could different civilizations build similar shapes without talking? It feels like one of life's great mysteries.
From an engineering perspective, the pyramid is a very stable shape. It's actually a logical solution for height.
So, you're saying pyramids might have appeared independently simply because they're practical, not because of a secret connection.
Exactly. It might have been a coincidence, driven by physics and gravity, not mysterious global communication or spaceships.
Some YouTube videos suggest an ancient worldwide civilization must have shared blueprints. Is that plausible or mostly fanciful?
It's mostly fanciful. We have local evidence for separate developments and no credible proof of a unified supercivilization.
So that idea is exciting, but currently hard to swallow if you care about evidence and known timelines.
Listener, notice these useful words: plausible, implausible, fanciful, far-fetched. They're perfect when evaluating wild historical claims.
For example, it's plausible they used ramps, versus it's implausible that thousands of stones floated with psychic energy.
Or, that theory about intergalactic architects is fun but extremely far-fetched and totally speculative.
Speculative means based more on imagination than strong evidence. It can be interesting, but we shouldn't treat it as fact.
Let's travel now to the Nazca Lines in Peru, those massive shapes scratched into the desert floor.
I remember seeing pictures and thinking, this is absolutely a mystery to me. Why draw a giant hummingbird there?
The Nazca Lines definitely have an air of mystery, partly because they're best seen from the sky.
Which is why some people say they must have been made for alien aircraft. Another very fanciful explanation.
Yes, that's a classic example of a hard-to-swallow idea that ignores simpler, more plausible human explanations.
So, what might the Nazca Lines have been for, from an archaeological point of view, based on research?
They might have marked ritual paths. People could have walked along the lines during ceremonies to honor deities.
They could also have been offerings drawn large, so the gods watching from above might notice them clearly.
Exactly. They may have represented animals and shapes important in local belief systems, like a spiritual landscape visible above.
I love that image. People walking carefully along huge shapes, believing the sky was watching their movements thoughtfully.
And they didn't necessarily need airplanes to imagine a sky view. They might have used nearby hills as viewpoints.
They could have planned the designs with simple surveying techniques. Not easy, but definitely possible for organized communities.
Listener question: which explanation feels more convincing? Ritual paths and offerings or landing strips for visiting star pilots?
Try writing, for me, the Nazca Lines were probably, and then say what you think they might have meant.
Let's quickly connect this to our grammar focus. When we guess about the past, we say might have or could have.
Right. The Nazca people might have used the lines for religious processions. That's a careful speculative statement.
And they can't have made them easily. Expresses strong belief that the work was very difficult and demanding.
As archaeologists, we use this language because we rarely have complete information. We build models from limited clues.
So ancient sites remain partly shrouded in mystery. But not because nothing is known, because not everything is perfectly certain.
That's actually more exciting to me. There's enough evidence to build serious theories, but still room for wonder.
Listener, if you visit any ancient site someday, try saying in English, "This place still has an air of mystery."
Or, the original purpose is still a mystery to historians, when the guide shrugs and smiles mysteriously.
Dr. Harris, final question before you leave us for your next excavation. Why do you personally love ancient monuments?
Because they remind me humans have always been creative problem solvers, even when their lives are now shrouded in mystery.
That's beautiful. We might never meet them, but their stones, lines, and pyramids still speak across thousands of years.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, for keeping our feet on the ground while our imagination happily explores the clouds.
My pleasure. Enjoy the mysteries, but please remember, evidence matters, even when stories are wonderfully strange.
Next, we'll head into the jungle and calendars, talking about lost cities of gold and the Mayan apocalypse.
Stay with us, because some of those legends might be more exaggerated than mysterious when you look closely. So, we've walked through stone circles and desert lines. Now let's step into jungles and dramatic prophecies.
Yes, please. This is where my imagination goes wild. Lost cities of gold and the end of the world.
Ancient mysteries plus treasure plus doomsday, that combination basically guarantees legends with a huge air of mystery.
To guide us through the shiny myths, we've invited Sofia, who loves alternative history and old travel stories.
Sofia, welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. We're excited to hear your favorite ancient legends today.
Thanks for having me. I've always been fascinated by tales of hidden cities and mysterious calendar predictions.
Let's start with the famous idea of a lost city of gold somewhere in South America, like El Dorado.
When I first heard that story, I imagined golden streets, golden temples, even golden bananas everywhere, honestly.
Haha, the reality was probably less sparkly, but the legend definitely had a powerful air of mystery.
Where did that legend come from? Did it might have started from real places, or was it mostly invented?
Some historians think explorers might have seen wealthy cities or rituals and then exaggerated details in their reports.
So they might have met communities with gold jewelry, then turned them into full golden kingdoms in their stories.
Exactly. Explorers could have exaggerated to impress sponsors back home and secure more money for future expeditions.
That sounds very human. Please fund my next trip. There might be even more gold around the next river.
From a skeptical perspective, the idea of an entire city made of gold feels pretty hard to swallow.
I agree. As a literal description, it's fanciful and implausible. As a symbol of wealth, it's powerful.
So maybe El Dorado wasn't one single place, but a mixture of many wealthy cities and excited imaginations.
We could say, the lost city of gold might have been a metaphor for unexplored richness in the continent.
Or, the legend could have grown every time it was retold, becoming more far-fetched, like a giant fishing story.
Listener question. Do you think there could still be important ruins hidden in jungles or deserts today?
You might comment, I think there might still be. And then describe temples, tombs, or forgotten cities.
Notice our grammar. Might still be, could still exist. We're guessing carefully, not claiming we know the truth.
Right. We're avoiding strong claims without evidence, staying in that speculative space between boring and irresponsible.
Let's switch to the Mayans and that famous prediction that the world would end in 2012, supposedly.
I remember people panicking, buying supplies, watching documentaries, treating the calendar change like one of life's great mysteries.
Some theories were honestly entertaining but very fanciful, talking about cosmic alignments, secret planets, or sudden spiritual upgrades.
The Mayan calendar has an air of mystery, but the end of the world idea was mostly a misunderstanding.
So what do we know? The long count calendar ended a cycle. It might have simply reset like an odometer.
Exactly. It could have been like finishing a big chapter, not closing the entire book of existence.
So the world wasn't supposed to explode. The calendar might have just rolled into a new grand cycle.
In that case, the Mayans predicted the apocalypse is pretty hard to swallow if you examine the actual inscriptions.
Much of the panic came from modern writers and films, not from Mayan sources themselves, which is important.
That happens a lot. A small historical detail gets wrapped in new stories until it's completely shrouded in mystery.
Or shrouded in marketing, to be honest. End-of-world headlines sell better than calendar quietly finishes cycle.
Listener, how did you feel back in 2012? Were you nervous, amused, or completely skeptical about the predictions?
You could write, in 2012, I mostly felt, and then add scared, curious, bored, or secretly hopeful for magic.
Let's practice some more speculative language. Sofia, can you give us an example sentence using might have about the Mayans?
Sure. The Mayans might have designed their calendar to match astronomical cycles that were important for rituals.
Great. Now, one using could have. That shows a different possible explanation, still careful and not absolute.
The date could have been symbolic, representing renewal rather than any kind of physical destruction or disaster.
Perfect. Now, one using can't have. to reject an extreme, far-fetched idea politely but firmly.
The Mayans can't have predicted every modern event. That idea is exaggerated and not supported by evidence.
That's powerful language. It lets you judge theories politely instead of just saying, "That's stupid," which isn't helpful.
Right. Saying this theory is hard to swallow is more respectful and more advanced English than simply insulting someone.
Listener question. Is there an ancient prophecy or prediction in your culture that people still talk about today?
You might write, in my culture, one famous prediction is plausible, and tell us whether you find it plausible or fanciful.
Sofia, why do you think people still love alternative history shows, even when the theories sound highly implausible?
Because they give everyday life an air of mystery. People feel excited imagining secret knowledge hidden behind official history.
Also, it's more fun to say, aliens helped than our ancestors were intelligent and patient, even if that's true.
It's almost like people want the past to be a fantasy novel instead of a complicated, mostly human story.
Exactly. And when real history feels boring or technical, fanciful explanations become more attractive emotionally, even without evidence.
So part of critical thinking is noticing when we like a story simply because it's dramatic, not credible.
We can say, this story is exciting but probably far-fetched, instead of turning every legend into unquestioned fact.
Listener, try this sentence. I enjoy this theory emotionally, but logically, I think it might have been. And continue.
That's a great way to practice balancing heart and brain in English, especially with mysterious, emotionally charged topics.
I think we can enjoy legends of golden cities and strange predictions without surrendering completely to conspiracy theories.
So, legends might have started from real events, then grown taller every time someone retold them around a fire.
Human storytelling could have turned ordinary journeys into epic quests, and simple towns into glittering cities of gold.
For me, that mixture of truth and imagination is one of life's great mysteries itself, actually.
Thank you, Sofia, for reminding us we can be curious and critical at the same time without killing the mystery.
Yes. Thanks for helping us separate what might have happened from what probably belongs in fantasy novels instead.
My pleasure. Keep enjoying mysteries, but always ask yourself, does this feel plausible or just wonderfully fanciful?
Next, we're moving into more delicate territory. Hidden books, church history, and stories shrouded in spiritual mystery.
Stay with us, because the line between faith, history, and imagination can be fascinating and sometimes hard to swallow. So, we've explored golden cities and dramatic calendars. Now we're stepping into very delicate spiritual territory.
Yeah, this is where ancient mysteries meet religion, feelings, and big questions that are still shrouded in mystery.
We're talking about hidden books, church decisions, and those famous theories about Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Some people say they might have been married, that the church covered it up, and descendants still walk around.
For others, that idea is hard to swallow, maybe sounding more like a novel than serious history.
To help us handle this respectfully, we've invited Professor Lane, who studies early Christian history and ancient texts.
Professor Lane, welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. Thanks for joining this very mysterious part.
Thanks for inviting me. These topics definitely have an air of mystery and can be very emotional.
Let's start with the big question. Did Jesus and Mary Magdalene might have been married, in your view?
From the evidence we have, that idea seems highly implausible. The earliest sources don't present them as married.
So the marriage theory is mostly speculative, built from silence and imagination rather than clear, credible documentation.
Exactly. It may have grown from later writings and modern novels. Historically, it looks very fanciful and exaggerated.
But emotionally, people love it. It feels human, romantic, and gives Mary a central, powerful role beside Jesus.
Yes, and I understand that. The theory has an air of mystery, but the evidence simply isn't strong.
So we might say, they could have been close followers and friends, but they probably can't have been married.
And the idea of secret descendants living among us today, that sounds almost like movie marketing, honestly.
That part is especially hard to swallow historically. We don't have credible genealogical records supporting such a claim.
Listener, notice our language. Implausible, fanciful, hard to swallow, not just wrong. This is polite, advanced disagreement vocabulary.
Right. You can say, this theory is mostly implausible, instead of attacking people, especially when religion is involved.
Let's move to another mystery. Why some books were included in the Bible and others were rejected or lost.
That whole process feels shrouded in mystery to many believers, almost like a secret meeting deciding everything forever.
In reality, it was a long, complex process. Different communities used different texts before consensus slowly formed.
So, church leaders might have chosen books they felt were consistent, widely used, and helpful for teaching.
Yes, some texts might have been excluded because they were too speculative, too local, or theologically confusing.
That makes me very curious. What might those rejected or lost books have contained, in your professional opinion?
They might have contained alternative stories, extra sayings, or different interpretations of Jesus' teachings in early communities.
So they could have given us a wider picture, but not necessarily explosive conspiracies or shocking hidden children.
Exactly. Some modern conspiracy theories are far-fetched. The reality was probably less dramatic, more ordinary, and complicated.
Part of me still loves the idea of a hidden library, though. That image has such an air of mystery.
For historians, the missing texts are one of life's great mysteries. We know they existed, but not their full contents.
When fragments appear, they can change details, but rarely overturn everything. The conspiracy versions are usually exaggerated.
Listener, do you feel excited or uncomfortable when religion and mystery mix together like this in stories and theories?
You might comment, "For me, these ideas are mostly," and choose fascinating, uncomfortable, inspiring, or just confusing.
Let's talk about how people explain this with conspiracy theories. Why do some prefer cover-up stories over ordinary explanations?
Conspiracy theories give a simple answer. Powerful people must have hidden the truth. That feels dramatic and satisfying.
But real history is usually messy, imperfect, and not fully controlled by one secret group over centuries.
Exactly. Saying they must have covered everything up is tempting, but often very hard to support with evidence.
So we might say, the idea of a perfect global cover-up is pretty hard to swallow rationally.
Another good phrase. This explanation sounds highly fanciful, when a theory goes way beyond what the sources actually show.
Listener, when you hear a mystery story, ask yourself, is this plausible, or is it mostly a conspiracy theory?
You can say, "This seems speculative." When someone jumps from a tiny detail to a huge dramatic conclusion.
As a historian, I try to balance respect for faith with honest evaluation of what documents might have meant.
Can you give us an example sentence using might have about those rejected books in a calm, neutral way?
Sure. Those other books might have contained local traditions that never became central to mainstream Christian teaching.
And maybe another using could have, showing another possible angle, still careful and realistic.
They could have included stories that didn't fit with the theological direction church leaders wanted to emphasize.
Now one using can't have, rejecting an extreme idea kindly but clearly.
They can't have contained absolutely shocking secrets about modern politics. That's a very imaginative modern projection.
That's very clear. Ancient texts can be surprising, but usually not in the way thriller novels suggest.
So the whole area of hidden gospels and secret marriages is partly history, partly legend, partly modern fantasy.
We could say it's shrouded in mystery emotionally, but not supported by strong evidence the way some believe.
Listener question: how do you personally react when you hear about secret books and hidden teachings being discovered?
You might write, "When I hear about secret gospels, I feel," and add curious, skeptical, hopeful, or slightly nervous.
Professor, why do you think people want these stories to be true, even when evidence is very weak?
Because they suggest there is more to learn, that official stories might be incomplete, and that individuals matter.
They also give Mary Magdalene and other figures more visible roles, which many people feel emotionally drawn to today.
That makes sense. People might have felt invisible, so they like stories where hidden characters become central suddenly.
Exactly. Those feelings are valid. We just need to separate emotional needs from historical probability when discussing evidence.
So, we can say, "I emotionally like this story, but historically, it seems mostly fanciful and unlikely."
Listener, try that pattern with any mystery you like. Balance heart and head using words like plausible and fanciful.
Professor Lane, final question. For you personally, what remains one of life's great mysteries in early Christian history?
For me, the everyday lives of ordinary believers are a mystery. We glimpse them, but never fully know them.
I love that answer. Sometimes the biggest mysteries aren't dramatic conspiracies, but quiet lives lost to time.
Thank you, Professor Lane, for helping us walk carefully between faith, history, legend, and conspiracy theory tonight.
My pleasure. May your listeners keep their curiosity alive while also respecting evidence and different beliefs.
Next, we'll step into another sacred mystery, the missing years of Jesus and those travel legends across continents.
Stay with us, because those stories might have some truth, or might be mainly beautiful, wandering tales. We've talked about hidden books. Now let's zoom in on another big question shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, the so-called missing years of Jesus, the parts of his life the Bible doesn't describe.
For many people, what he did during those years is one of life's great mysteries.
Some legends say he might have traveled to England, others say India, maybe learning from different spiritual traditions.
To help us explore these ideas respectfully, we've invited Priya, who studies comparative religion and ancient stories.
Priya, welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. We're really curious about your perspective on these legends.
Thanks for inviting me. These stories definitely have an air of mystery and a lot of emotional power.
Let's start simple. Historically speaking, what do we actually know about those early and middle years of his life?
Honestly, we know very little. The sources are silent, so that period is largely shrouded in mystery for scholars.
And when there's a big silence, humans rush to fill it with ideas, theories, and sometimes pretty fanciful stories.
Exactly. People don't like empty spaces in important lives, so they create journeys, travels, and secret adventures.
One famous claim is that he might have traveled to India, learning from teachers there before returning.
Yes, there are modern texts suggesting that, but they were written very late and lack solid historical evidence.
So, from a strict historian's view, that idea is possible but probably implausible and hard to swallow, right?
I'd say it might have a tiny possibility, but it mostly looks speculative, not supported by reliable contemporary sources.
Another version says he could have visited England, meeting druids and inspiring future legends around certain villages.
I've seen documentaries about that. They have a strong air of mystery but also feel quite far-fetched, honestly.
The England stories are even more fanciful. There's basically no credible evidence. They sound like later romantic inventions.
So, historically, the most plausible scenario is that he might have lived a fairly ordinary local life.
Yes. He could have been working, studying scriptures, participating in community life, preparing for his public ministry quietly.
It's funny that an ordinary life feels less satisfying emotionally, even if it might have been closer to truth.
Listener, think about it. Do you prefer an ordinary preparation period or dramatic world travel legends with secret training?
You might comment, emotionally, I prefer, but logically, I think he might have and complete those two ideas.
These legends tell us more about what later generations wanted from his story than about what actually happened.
So when people say he must have gone to India, that sounds stronger than the evidence really justifies.
Exactly. It would be more accurate to say, he might have, but we have almost no reliable proof.
Let's play with conditionals now. If he really had traveled to India, what would that change for us?
If that were true, it would suggest deeper early connections between different spiritual traditions than we currently document.
And if we discovered a genuine contemporary text describing such a journey, historians would be amazed and extremely cautious.
That kind of discovery would have an air of mystery and cause huge debates about interpretation and authenticity.
But we need to remember, extraordinary claims need strong evidence. Otherwise, they stay in the interesting but fanciful category.
Exactly. Right now, most travel legends are hard to swallow for serious scholars because documentation simply isn't there.
Listener, when you hear a dramatic religious mystery, ask yourself, is this plausible or mainly a modern invention?
You can say, this story might have grown later, or this detail could have been exaggerated by storytellers.
That language helps you keep an open mind without blindly accepting everything that sounds mystical or exciting.
I'm curious, Priya. Which part of these missing years do you personally find most mysterious or emotionally interesting?
For me, it's the ordinary side. How he might have lived day to day before suddenly stepping into public teaching.
So the mystery to you is not secret travels, but how a quiet life might have formed his character.
Exactly. That's one of life's great mysteries for many spiritual figures. What shaped them before we see them?
That's beautiful. Sometimes the silence itself has an air of mystery, even without dramatic geography or golden temples.
Listener question. Do you think spiritual leaders must have extraordinary secret experiences, or could ordinary life experience be enough?
You might write, I think they might have learned mainly from and mention family, work, friends, or travel.
Another important point is respect. For believers, these stories are sensitive. We should avoid treating them like cheap entertainment.
Right. We can say, this theory is fanciful and implausible without attacking people who feel emotionally drawn to it.
Exactly. That's why phrases like hard to swallow or seems speculative are useful. They're softer than totally stupid.
Let me give an example sentence you can copy. This legend might have developed to fill gaps in the story.
And another. He could have inspired travel stories because people wanted his influence to reach their own homeland.
One more with a stronger judgment. He can't have visited every country people claim. Those legends are obviously exaggerated.
These patterns let you talk about ancient mysteries with nuance instead of simple yes or no answers.
Listener, try creating your own sentence, he might have, he could have, or he can't have, with your personal view.
What matters is noticing when something is truly shrouded in mystery, and when it's mostly modern imagination.
For example, the missing years are genuinely shrouded in mystery. We simply lack detailed sources from that period.
But the idea that he studied at every famous temple on Earth feels incredibly far-fetched and basically fanciful.
Exactly. We can hold both thoughts. Real mystery and realistic limits to what probably happened in the past.
So in summary, the missing years remain one of life's great mysteries, but not necessarily proof of secret world tours.
And these legends tell us a lot about human desire. We want our heroes to belong everywhere, to everyone.
That desire has an air of mystery itself. Why do we struggle to accept our heroes as local and ordinary?
Maybe because ordinary feels fragile, and we want our foundations to seem huge, glamorous, and almost untouchable.
Listener, think of someone you admire. Would you be disappointed if their life was mostly simple and ordinary?
You might comment, I'd still respect them because, or, honestly, I'd feel surprised because, and explain your feelings.
If you can do that in English, you're not just learning language, you're practicing deep, reflective thinking too.
Thank you, Priya, for guiding us kindly through this sacred mystery without turning it into a cheap conspiracy show.
Yes. Thanks for helping us see how to use might have, could have, and can't have with sensitivity.
My pleasure. I hope your listeners keep their curiosity alive, but also their compassion and critical thinking strong.
So, we've traveled through Atlantis, pyramids, lines, golden cities, hidden books, and missing years, all wrapped in mystery.
In our final section, we'll ask why humans love ancient mysteries so much and how to stay thoughtful.
Stay with us, because now we'll talk about your mind, your beliefs, and how to enjoy mystery responsibly.
So, Emily, we visited Atlantis, pyramids, Nazca Lines, lost gold, hidden books, and mysterious missing years already.
Yeah, my brain feels full of legends, and my heart feels strangely happy that so much is still unknown.
Let's finish by asking the biggest question. Why do humans love ancient mysteries so much in the first place?
I think they give life an air of mystery. They whisper, there's more here than you can see.
Modern life can feel predictable. Ancient mysteries remind us the past is still partly shrouded in mystery and surprise.
Also, they help us escape routine. A good mystery lets you imagine secret tunnels beneath your boring Monday morning.
For many people, how civilizations really lived and thought is still one of life's great mysteries.
And honestly, that mystery is comforting. It means we haven't solved absolutely everything yet, thank goodness.
Listener, how do ancient mysteries make you feel? Excited? Peaceful? Nervous? Inspired? Try to notice your emotional first reaction.
You could comment, ancient mysteries mostly make me feel, and add curious, hopeful, uneasy, or maybe just wonderfully small.
But there's a danger when we love mystery too much. We might start believing every fanciful story without evidence.
Exactly. Suddenly, every legend becomes history, every rumor becomes fact, and every conspiracy theory sounds strangely plausible.
That's why critical thinking matters. We need to ask, is this based on evidence or only emotional desire?
We can still enjoy stories that are hard to swallow logically. We just keep them in the legend box.
For example, Atlantis might have been symbolic, keeps it open, while Atlantis definitely controlled the whole planet, feels implausible.
Or, the Mayans might have finished a calendar cycle. Sounds reasonable. They predicted smartphone brands is clearly far-fetched.
Notice those phrases. Might have, could have, can't have. They're perfect for talking about mysteries without pretending certainty.
You can say, they might have used Stonehenge for rituals, or they could have watched the sun from there.
And when something sounds crazy, you can gently say, that can't have happened exactly like that. It's exaggerated.
Let's add second conditionals too. They're great for imagining what-if worlds around ancient mysteries.
For example, if Atlantis really had existed, it would change how we see ancient seafaring and technology.
Or, if we discovered a new library of lost scrolls, historians would probably argue for decades non-stop.
Listener, try making your own. If we finally solve this mystery, people would... And finish with your prediction.
Maybe people would feel disappointed, or people would feel relieved, or people would stop blaming aliens for everything.
Let's also revisit our mystery vocabulary quickly, so it sticks in your memory like a good legend.
We had a mystery to someone, like Stonehenge is still a mystery to many visitors today.
Then, air of mystery. Like, the Nazca Lines still have an air of mystery hanging over them.
One of life's great mysteries, for truly big questions, like the missing years of important historical figures.
Shrouded in mystery. For things hidden by time, missing records, or secret decisions behind closed doors.
Hard to swallow. For ideas that are difficult to believe, like cities made entirely of gold bricks.
And fanciful, for stories that sound imaginative, dreamy, and probably not based on solid evidence at all.
Listener, when you write your comment, try using at least one of those phrases about a mystery you love.
For example, this temple near my city has an air of mystery, and its origin is still a mystery.
Or, the story about this king's treasure is beautiful but a bit too fanciful and hard to swallow.
Let's talk honestly about emotions again. Why do you think people sometimes prefer fanciful explanations over boring, realistic ones?
Because fanciful stories feel bigger than life. They make our world seem magical, not just practical and predictable.
Also, distrust plays a role. Some people think, if officials say one thing, the secret truth must be hidden.
That's where conspiracy theories grow. Historians must have hidden everything. It sounds dramatic but usually lacks credible evidence.
We can say, this conspiracy theory seems implausible, instead of shouting, that's stupid, which ends the conversation.
Exactly. Polite disagreement vocabulary keeps discussions open, even when we find ideas hard to swallow logically.
So, a healthy approach might be open heart, open mind, but also a questioning brain watching carefully.
I like that. Enjoy the air of mystery, but ask, what might have actually happened beneath all these stories?
If we refused all mysteries, life would feel flat. If we trusted every legend, life would feel chaotic.
Balanced curiosity sits in the middle. It says, this might have happened, and also, that can't have happened realistically.
Listener question. Where do you place yourself? More skeptical, more dreamy, or somewhere between skeptical and dreamy?
You might write, I'm mostly a skeptical person, but I still feel drawn to, and describe one favorite mystery.
Before we close, let's give you 2 lines you can share or remember when thinking about ancient mysteries.
First line, ancient mysteries may never be solved, but they remind us how hungry humans are for meaning.
Second line, you don't need aliens to make the past impressive. Human creativity is mysterious enough already.
I love that. Our ancestors might have been more patient, observant, and determined than we usually imagine, honestly.
Listener, your homework is simple. Choose one ancient mystery and write a short comment using our mystery vocabulary.
Try including one modal of past speculation too, like might have, could have, must have, or can't have.
For example, this legend might have started from a real disaster, or the city can't have looked exactly like stories.
And of course, if this episode helped you, please like the video and subscribe to support the channel.
Sharing this with a friend who loves mysteries would be amazing. Your support helps other learners find us more easily.
Ancient mysteries will probably stay shrouded in mystery, but your English doesn't have to stay mysterious for long.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep practicing these phrases until speaking about big questions feels natural.
This was Emily, smiling at the thought that somewhere out there, another story is still quietly waiting.
And this was Alec, reminding you that sometimes the greatest mystery is how powerful your curious mind might have been all along.